Jarvis, drop my needle.
Hello, this is the hardcore legend Mick Foley, and if you are interested in listening to idiots, you came to the right place. Have a nice day.
Woo! That's an attention getter.
He's a very strange young man.
He's an idiot.
What we're dealing with here is a complete lack of respect for the law.
Oh my God, he's an idiot.
You know, of course, that you're out of your jurisdiction.
Personally, I think you're an idiot.
But that's the evidence in the car.
But I was going into Toshi Station to pick up some power converters.
Always like to keep my audience riveted.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, friends and fiends, and welcome to Free Range Idiocy, the podcast about everything, but mostly just the stuff we like. Last week, we lost one of the titans of Hollywood. He was the perfect foil for the ultimate underdog, an action star, delivered dramatic gravitas, and had comedic timing to boot. He was an acting five-tool player, ladies and gentlemen, with $1 million smile. So we're here to honor the late, great Carl Weathers in this, episode 151, Remembering the Master of Disaster. I am your Uncle Todd, and with me, as always, is the man who has been trying out Rocky's rope-a-dope strategy in his boxing lessons for the last year and has lost enough brain cells to be in danger of taking the lead in our Who's the Biggest Idiot office pool. He has been my partner in idiocy for over 2 decades and should really consider wearing some headgear. I give you the man they call Tim.
Greetings and salutations, my friend. How are you?
You know, I'm doing all right for the shape I'm in. How about yourself?
Dumpster fire or half a dumpster fire?
Yeah, I mean, it's a simmering dumpster fire. It's, you know,
smoldering.
I've got some nice coals going, you know. It could spark up at any moment. That's...
Oh, well, I hope it does not. I hope it stays quiet and without raging flames. So
I'll drink it.
I shall drink with you as well.
And how are you doing, sir? That is the big question, because you lead a jet-setting, bougie lifestyle. So I always love to hear the updates on said lifestyle.
Yeah, I'm doing well.
Good.
It was a good weekend overall. Kind of started it on Thursday night with a little dinner out in downtown Chi-Town with my wife, and had a lovely dinner there. Friday, we just kind of laid low, just took it easy, relaxed, watched some TV, and got a good night's sleep. And then Saturday, we were back at it with went to see Empire Strikes Back at the Tivoli Theater in Downers Grove, Illinois. Kind of an old theater, very just very different from what we have today with all the stadium seating and stuff like that. But went to see Empire Strikes Back. And let me tell you, sir, 3 weeks ago, we went to see Star Wars. It was just running that one movie that day a couple times. And, maybe a smattering of 15 to 20 people along with us there.
Okay.
We go there for Empire. And
how big is this theater? I mean, we talking like under 100, couple hundred?
I want to say it could probably be over 100. It seems like a lot of seats.
So a decent sized room.
Yeah, very decent sized room. Maybe 100, 200 maybe. It's pretty big.
All right.
And they were running a original trilogy marathon. So they started with Star Wars at like 1-ish. Empire was like 3:45, 4 o'clock, and then they were going to do Return of the Jedi, I think 6 or 6:30, and then end at 9. We only did Empire. Just wanted to go for one. So we went there. So we get there, and we see a bunch of people exiting because I think Star Wars had just let out. We're like, all right, big crowd's leaving. We go in there, and it is just like flooded with people. It is incredible. And I got to tell you, about 50% of them, no, not 50%. I'd say about a quarter of them wearing fanny packs, some of them. Others dressed up in some.
When did
some
the fanny packs start making a comeback? I want to know.
I blame The Rock, which is going to be a theme that we're going to get into later on.
I'm A-okay with that so far.
There's that one picture of him from back in the late 90s where he's just kind of like standing there looking suave. And
which honestly, have you seen the photo of Rhea Ripley
yes.
replicating that?
Yes.
So good. Like even the eyebrow, the whole deal, like another 5-tool player, Rhea Ripley, just there for you, whatever you need. You need someone scary, she's there. You need someone funny, she's there.
I and maybe you saw this today. I think this was on Instagram, but I saw this thing where It was taken by a fan, and she's backpedaling. You know, she just finished her match, has the title. She's just kind of looking toward the ring, and a couple fans are like reaching out for her. And she's walking, and just all of a sudden she's like, I don't want to touch you, you know, and just like, and then just you see them jump, and it was absolutely hysterical. Like, and then she just goes back to hugging the belt and has this like devious grin on her face. I was like,
oh, she's so good.
She knows how to work the crowd like nobody's business.
And there's a couple of videos of her, like, you know, scaring little kids in the front row, like giving them a jump scare, like not really. You can tell that like they're kind of like they kind of afterwards are like, oh my gosh, I just got scared by Rhea Ripley.
Yes,
you know? It's just like kind of like
And didn't she pull like a prank where she was like she got like knocked out outside of a ring, and she was like messing with a fan's shoelaces or something like that? Yeah, she's crazy. She is so funny.
Oh, and I just appreciate the fact that it seems like, you know, outside of the ring persona, she's kind of a geek.
Yeah.
Like, she's kind of a dork. Like, I'm like, you know what? That's awesome.
Yeah.
You get to like express all these different types of your personalities, and for fun and profit.
And I did not save it. Shoot, I don't think I saved it. I'll see if I can find it. But I did at one point see on Instagram, she and I don't know if it's her boyfriend or her husband. His name is Buddy Matthews. He actually wrestles in AEW.
Fiance now, I believe.
Fiance? Okay.
Yeah.
Did you see the thing where they had a gaming company like custom made like a traditional like standing arcade video game with half of it was basically branded for Rhea Ripley and half of it was branded for him, and it was like all custom made for them and stuff. And
no, but it sounds just about right.
I mean, just for the nerd cred, boom.
Oh yeah,
you know, boom.
Oh yeah.
But anyway, so
yeah, let's go back to your geekiness.
So we're at the
Star
movie
Wars.
theater. We're at the movie theater, and
the fanny packs.
You get 25% fanny packs, 25% cosplay, 25% greasy hair, and you got about 10% walking around with their play lightsabers, lighting them up here, there, and everywhere. So
which, if you're going with a Scott Steiner math, adds up to about 135%.
66 and 2/3% chance is what that comes down to. So we have to actually wait in line at the concession stand.
Oh.
Now, mind you, in this day and age, I walk into a theater, we scan our tickets, we go up to the concession stand, maybe 1-2 people you're waiting for at most. Get our stuff. We get to the theater. We sit down. We got like, 15 minutes to just kind of soak it in before the movie starts. Off we go. I'm standing in line. In 20 plus years, I have not had to stand in line. Do they not know who I am?
Exactly. Don't they know?
Good.
Don't
Lord.
they know?
It gets worse. So not only do I have to stand in line.
God, I just love sitting here hearing your first world problems. It's awesome.
Not only do I have to stand in line for the popcorn and, whatever, but we go to our, to where our seats are, and we get to our seats and we find there's sodas in the cup holders. There's a big vat of popcorn sitting in the chair that I will be gracing with my presence. And so we're thinking, like, is there another couple here that thinks this is their seats? And we got to have a discussion about this. So we talked to the folks sitting behind. We're like, anyone sitting here? They're like, no, I haven't seen anyone. I'm like, all right. So they basically left their trash. They left. No one ever came back, but they left their trash for us to deal with.
Please tell me you didn't ask for a manager.
I almost did. And my first comment would be, do you know who I am?
I have to introduce you as the man they call Karen.
So anyways, we got settled in, but I got to tell you, Empire in the theater, same as I said with Star Wars before. Oh my gosh. And what stood out to me was just how fast the movie went by. Like that movie is just such a well-paced movie. It's got a good chase to it. It's got good action to it. You're just absorbed in what's going on. And, yeah, it was wonderful. So afterwards, we were supposed to go out to dinner at a restaurant near where the theater was. We decide, you know what? No, we're going to go to our favorite place at Dell's.
Of course.
So we went over there, and we got a spot at the bar, pulled up, parking lot was full. We was like, oh, shoot, where are we going to sit? We get there. There's our spot in the bar, wide open. We just sit down, had a nice conversation with Herman and the crew, and off we went. Had some wonderful pork belly burnt ends.
I'm shocked that it wasn't like Goodfellas, and they didn't just like snap out another table for you, like 5 or 6 guys coming all setting it up for you right in front of everybody else. Your food comes, and like everyone, what's going on?
I think someone spied us pulling up, and they cleared out that area of the bar. They're like, no,
They actually kicked out 2 people from the
Do
bar.
you know who's here?
You got to
And
leave.
Boom! There it is.
Fat Tony and his gangsta wife are here. Don't you know he controls half of Chicago? Meanwhile,
in
it's
his
this
head.
schmuck showing up, walking in, doop, just Emperor Strikes Back.
But I had a wonderful Brussels sprouts Cobb salad with some chicken on.
Sure you
It's
did.
amazing, and it was a wonderful evening. Had a nice, relaxing Sunday, and
That's when his personal chef comes in and
here we are starting the
does everything for him.
starting the week. Yeah, absolutely. How was your weekend, sir? You were celebrating a milestone.
Yeah, made it around the sun one more time.
There it is.
Yeah. No, it was good. I actually forgot we went out to a restaurant, a fancy restaurant on Friday, and
Did you have deviled eggs?
no, they didn't have deviled eggs on the menu. I know, heresy.
Heresy.
The only problem is when you go out to eat when you're gluten free, it literally is. You're rolling the dice. It's like every time, like, and cross contamination. Sorry. So that wasn't too fun afterwards. But you win, you lose.
Hey, if you ever make it out here, my friend,
Okay.
and we go to Adele's Scratch Kitchen, they will make it exactly the way you need it for the dietary restrictions. They're all about that.
Okay.
So,
Good.
Just,
Good to
just
know.
letting you know. They will take
Good to
care
know.
of you.
I'll keep that in mind next time I'm stopping by Chicago. Yeah, and then the big day was on Sunday. My wife got me a very extravagant gift. I am a big
Nice.
fan of the singer, songwriter, performer Pink. I've wanted to see her in concert for several years because it looks like an amazing show, and I just think she's a hell of a performer, a hell of a writer, a hell of a singer. And I've just never gotten tickets because either I'm too slow getting to getting onto Ticket Bastard and finding tickets, or by the time I get to Ticket Bastard, all the tickets are gone, and I'm into the reselling Ticket Bastards, and they're like so stupid expensive. I'm like, no, I'm not spending that money.
Yeah.
And so she went out and got tickets that I would never have gotten for myself. Not only are we seeing Pink at Gillette Stadium in Foxborough, Mass, we are on the floor.
Nice.
We're down on the field, and we are in one of the front sections. I believe it'll be kind of stage right. So the left side of the stage, if you're looking towards the stage, that'll be pretty freaking awesome. And it'll be the 3 of us all going. So that'll be really cool.
Nice.
But yeah, overall, pretty good weekend, except for me just being, grumpy old jerk. That's, but I'm just warming up to wait for my 60s. That's,
All right. Well, I have to ask, if you're going to be
Yes.
on the field at Gillette Stadium, are you going to bring a little jar with you to take a sample of the soil that one Thomas Brady once marched upon many a time?
Pretty sure they have turf. So I don't know if there's any soil to be had. And they usually cover that up,
okay.
All
right.
Yeah. So no,
Not escaping.
I shan't be doing that.
Not creating a divot on the field is what you're saying.
No. No, I'd prefer not to get booted out before
Replace
the
your
show starts.
divots.
Yeah. So that was my weekend.
Nice.
That was my weekend. Yes.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Well, enjoy that concert. When is that? Is that a summer show? Is that a fall show?
Yes, August
Oh.
21st, 20
Nice.
something. Yeah.
Nice. Very cool.
Yeah, it'll be a good time.
The best of times.
Yes.
Excellent.
But now that we've kind of gone over our weeks and bored all of our listeners to tears, time for us to get into the Week in Geek here. We got some a few things
Whoa.
that we need to well, not a few things. We've
Drama.
basically got yeah.
You got some drama to unpack.
We've got one thing to talk about, and we're going to talk about here in the Week in Geek.
The Week in Geek.
Feels so funky.
Mm-mm.
So what
That's
do we
right.
got in this episode's Week in Geek, sir?
Well, sir, this Week in Geek is going to be singularly focused on a particular event that happened this past Friday night that has left shockwaves rippling throughout the wrestling universe,
Which are running into the other shockwaves that were running into the previous shockwaves. It's nothing but shockwaves right now.
And yet, probably the source of all of these shockwaves are one Vincent Kennedy McMahon. But
Yeah, which we will not be talking about. We were going to, and then we both just realized it would be like a whole hour and a half of us just saying, "What a douche," and
Yeah. Well, and
We
then
just don't have the oomph for that.
And with the unfortunate passing of Carl Weathers, it's like, what do we want to give attention to? Someone who was a beacon of light throughout his life, or someone who was a excrement of a human being? So
yeah, well, yeah, there's jokes and connections to be made there, but we shan't.
Oh, I didn't mean to make a pun out of that. Look at that.
I don't know if that counts as a pun, but it's rather unfortunate in every sense of the word.
It is.
Yes,
The event.
What are we talking about here?
Yes, sir. The event we are talking about is the surprising, somewhat shocking, some would say, storyline development in WWE where Cody Rhodes essentially steps aside, has a moment with Roman Reigns in the middle of the ring when we assume he is going to declare his intentions to pursue the title that his father Dusty was robbed of, in what a lot of people assumed would be the triumphant finishing of the story at WrestleMania 40. Instead, he goes into a bit about how he had sought counsel and had talked to some long timers and past timers, and he has decided that he is not going to take down Roman just yet. He is going to take everything from Roman, and whatever that means. And really, in some sad ways, really kind of undercut a lot of what he had originally set out to do. All of this was predicated, for those who aren't aware, Cody Rhodes, the son of the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, which longtime friend of the show and oft quoted by Uncle Todd in a very, very well done impersonation of the man. But the American Dream, I forget what year it was, but at one point in Madison Square Garden, I think it was in the late 70s, he had won a match and was going to be crowned WWF at the time champion.
Well, no, wasn't it still WWWF?
Oh, you're right. It was Worldwide Wrestling Federation. Yep.
Yeah.
And it was taken back. It wasn't on TV. It was just it was a house show title change, and it was taken back. So Dusty was never recognized, even though he is recognized as an NWA World Champion from his time in NWA and WCW. He has not ever been recognized as a WWE champion. And Cody comes in 2 years ago with this great story about how he wants to fulfill the thing that his father could not, or that was taken from his father, and he wanted to, fulfill that, and has been on this journey over the last 2 years, which has been really amazing storytelling. Because if you told me that he would be, in this for a multiple year arc, and people would be heavily invested in him and into him and rooting for him every step of the way, I wouldn't have believed it. But he has had a tremendous run, just one of the best runs I can remember in a long time for a babyface. He's really done an amazing job. And so he wins the Royal Rumble, as we talked about in our last episode. And, our assumption was he was going to go to WrestleMania 40 and he was going to challenge Roman Reigns and finish the story. And this time,
no, he shan't.
No, he shan't. There was a twist. And so when he announces, he had, counsel, and this particular counsel, really knows him well. And then The Rock's music hits and The Rock comes out, and we end up with the, visual of Rock and Cody shaking hands. Rock gives him a hug, says some things to him. Cody exits the ring, and then it's just Rock and Roman facing each other as if they're going to be going at it at the main event of WrestleMania 40. And so it was very strange, because there was a perception that things were going to move in a certain direction, as I mentioned, with Cody kind of seeing through his story. And and I got to go back to his promo. And so part of his promo was how he doesn't just want to take the title. It's finishing the story isn't just taking the title from Roman, it's taking everything from Roman. And that kind of counteracts what he originally came in with, because that was really what the goal was, is to fulfill the family legacy of him, winning the title that his father was robbed of. And that was the story he was trying to finish. And now it's kind of strange, because in a way it's almost like a little heelish, because it's like, what does that mean to go after everything? What is he going to be doing as part of that? So it didn't sit well with the fan. I mean, the fans reacted very well to Rock when he came out and reacted well in that segment. But coming out of that segment and over the weekend, there's been a lot of backlash from the fan base about this. A lot of people were very heavily vested in Cody.
We
going to WrestleMania.
We want hashtag we want Cody trending.
Yep. And so, and there, there have been a few things going on that may have led to this. If the articles are to be believed, or the rumors to be believed, as many have probably seen in the news, Rock has been made part of the board of directors of TKO, the managing company or parent company of WWE now.
Mm-hmm.
There have been some reports that he might have pushed very hard for he and Reigns to face off at WrestleMania as a means of saving WrestleMania. And the reason for that is, as we mentioned in last week's episode, the unfortunate news of CM Punk suffering a tricep injury where he had surgery and is now going to be out about 4 to 6 months means he's going to miss WrestleMania. Yeah. He was supposed to be one half of the main event. He was going to be one of the main events in the 2-night event, taking on Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship. He cannot do that now. The other part of the equation was Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar was going to come back at WrestleMania and I believe have a big match with Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship. This was going to put Gunther's record on the line. He's about 600 days as the IC champ and is the single longest reigning Intercontinental champion. That's not happening. So apparently, in a act of selflessness and complete, charity for a struggling
what a gallant thing he's doing.
Struggling underdog company that hasn't been performing all that well the last couple of years.
Yeah, it's only going to make $5 billion over the next 10 years.
He is going
from one of its distributors.
He is going to throw himself into a match with a distant family member, Roman Reigns. He is a cousin of Roman Reigns, or Roman Reigns is a cousin of The Rock, because let's put that in the proper perspective. And they're going to face off at WrestleMania. And the conventional wisdom is that Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes will end up fighting for the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania. So,
which ought to be real interesting considering Seth is hobbling around on one bad drumstick right now.
Yes.
So
now, I have gabbed about the context of this. Sir, what's your initial reaction to all this? Other than it's horse pookie.
Is what I would say. From both a creative and just logistics standpoint, I don't know how this works. I really don't. I try to make sense of it, and I know that there's the idea that this mega match, because it's been teased several times, and people still love The Rock. People still pop for him every time. People will pay. I mean, they're not going to pay because we're out of the pay-per-view model now, but they will go and see him wrestle. So he's a big name, still has a lot of cachet. There's this idea that, if we have this Roman Rock dream match, well, this distracts from, everything that's going on with Vince and all that. It's like, I think the best way one of WrestleLamia's videos put it, the only thing that's going to distract from Vince's BS, is like if a meteor strikes the earth, that's it. Like it just keeps getting worse, and it's only going to continue to get worse because this is not an isolated incident, right? I mean, we already know that there was more than one NDA given out, signed by women. There was more money paid out. Obviously, this is not just a one-off incident. There's going to be more women coming forward. Mm-hmm. It's just going to continue to be in the news. It don't matter what you do at WrestleMania. Okay, so here we have, instead of Cody Roman, which actually would have drawn, and I mean anyone in Seth, or maybe even just finding a way to get Seth out of the picture, and just building a card around some other matches that you might have. I mean, I know that they've got a couple of people who they were really gaming for who are now, injured, but still, you've got a ginormous roster.
Yeah.
You've got folks, Now we have the battle of the part-timers of Roman and Rock. You got one guy who he can work, but obviously doesn't really choose to work at any kind of pace above the glacial, and only chooses to use maybe 3 or 4 moves per match, going up against a guy who hasn't really wrestled a full match in 10 years, who God only knows what kind. I mean, I know he's got months to go, but I mean, how much time is he going to put in a ring between now and then? Really putting on matches, like, that's a concern. So that, quite honestly, from a standpoint of just a good wrestling match, not looking good.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that it's also 2 part-timers, what's the build?
Yeah.
It's going to be them talking at each other for the next 2 months.
Well,
Which, I mean, hey, great. Rock can talk and talk and talk and talk, but the fact is, people be pissed, and people booed Rock when he was in the ring with Roman before, trying to give him the rub. And there was apparently a heavy amount of boos going on in the arena that night too. So I wonder how much, how much, goodwill The Rock is going to have now that people realize what this means.
Yeah.
So now you're going to put him out there to talk this match in every couple weeks, because we all know Rock ain't showing up on TV every week. We damn sure know Roman ain't showing up on TV every week. So you got this match that's going to hang there like a fart in the wind for the next 2 months.
Yep.
And then in the other main event, you got to build a story between Seth and Cody that, yeah, they've got history, but what are you going to do between now and again? Seth can't wrestle. So you got your 2 main events, what's going to save WrestleMania. Neither one of them are going to get anywhere near each other, not going to be physical. Nothing's going to happen with either of them between now and then. Well, yip frickin' he. Who cares? Like, now you've made it incredibly less interesting. I mean, we knew that nothing was going to happen between Cody and Roman between now and then, but at least Cody's wrestling.
Right.
So now he's going to be, it makes no sense. I cannot see a Roman Rock, because, I mean, what, they're going to put the championship on Rocky now? I doubt it.
Here's what I find interesting. If this was done differently and you took the Cody thing out of the equation, so the fans were firmly behind The Rock, there's, that is I mean, it still is a big money match. It is. Like to have two members of the Samoan dynasty facing off against each other. One who was the great one during his time, the other one who is the current great one of his time, being this longest reigning champion, holder. There's a great story to be told there. I wonder now if they've completely screwed everything up because they underestimated it. And here's what I don't get, and it's really sad to see this is still permeating even without Vince there, that there is a lack of faith in the current crop of superstars to put on the headline show and do gangbuster business. How they don't see that Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns isn't going to be big money, especially if you bring the payoff of him winning the championship. And you can't find another way, with the rest of the talent you have to put together a solid card top to bottom, is ridiculous to me. I mean, Gunther, could go up against any number of people and have an amazing match in a big pay-per-view setting. They were teasing him, kind of going after Seth potentially. And I think that would have made very interesting TV. If you don't have Punk to go after Seth, put Gunther on him, make Gunther a double champion, and then maybe he does what Samoa Joe did in AEW and vacate the title that he's holding that no one ever beat him for at however many days, 600 plus, right? And be the world champion and defend that and be the workman's champion. I mean, I don't understand why there was this panic because Punk wasn't going to be there and Lesnar wasn't going to be there. I mean, I get it, star power that they were banking on, but there's other things they could do with the talent they have.
Well, I think the panic also comes from the fact that Kevin Owens is hurt.
Well,
so apparently
okay,
he's got a busted hand. Plus now he's got a busted foot. You've got.
I think the hand is storyline. I think the foot is legit.
Oh, I thought the hand might have been real.
You might be right. I thought the hand was just part of the storyline with Logan Paul, but yeah.
But
sorry.
you've got Kevin Owens, who, I mean, would have been great to continue that story until WrestleMania.
Yep.
You've got Seth Rollins on the hurt list. Plus you've got who the hell was I just thinking of? I don't know. But the fact is, like you say, like there's plenty of other options. Don't even put put Rollins in there, or even have Rollins lose before to Gunther or whatever. I mean, but the fact is, you've got Rhea Ripley versus Becky Lynch. Make that the main event for night one.
Mm-hmm.
You're telling me that's not going to like pop the crowd? Are you freaking kidding me?
Right.
One of the most over people in all of wrestling, men or women, is Rhea Ripley. And people love them some Becky Lynch. Are you kidding me? And whatever you, I mean, granted, there's a lot of times when I feel like Becky can kind of wander into hokey land. And whatever, I can't do what she can do anyway. So I'm picking the like the smallest nits there. You know what I mean? So, but you're telling me those two aren't going to have a match that could just like carry that event?
Mm-hmm.
Come on. And then you've got Bayley versus Io Sky. People are really digging on Bayley right now. As long as you don't F that up, you've got a sub-main event for either night.
Yeah.
I mean, then you do whatever. I mean, you've got so many options. You've got the US belt that you can go after. You've got tag belts that, hey, how about this? Between now and then, why don't you separate the tag belts out and actually put some time and effort into there so you can have a tag championship each night?
Yep.
Oh, gee, I don't know. That might be kind of nice.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? There's plenty of other options here. And this idea that Rock is going to save WrestleMania. It's like, dude, your ass is old.
Yeah.
And people pop for you. But when it comes right down to it, you got a spine buster, a rock bottom, and the most ridiculous finisher in all of sports entertainment this side of the worm. What else have you got, really? You know what I mean?
And now they've sacrificed all that because they may not get the reaction that they wanted to get.
They won't. I mean,
SmackDown's going to be interesting. If he's on SmackDown Friday and the crowd overwhelmingly boos him, they've got some serious rethinking to do because they are not going to get.
What are you
they've
rethink?
Now tanked the event they were trying to save. Because
what are you
going to
rethink though? You're going to backpedal that now? You think Rock's going to let them do that?
I don't think so.
As a shareholder and a member of the board of directors?
Well,
hell no.
But it's a business, and if they
not.
think it's going to impact ticket sales because they have enough of a reaction from the fan
it's
base,
already sold out. Apparently, WrestleMania is already sold out both nights.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
and it's not about pay-per-view buys because it's all on Peacock. So
yeah.
the money is there, which is one of the arguments that I think WrestleMania made really, really well. Is like, why do you need to save this? The money is already there.
Mm-hmm.
Like your box office, you've made the house. I mean, come on, just put on a good card.
Right.
Right. It's ridiculous. And so the other thing, and I hadn't heard about the Triple H thing, but I mean, at some point, and believe me, I'm all for like, if people are directly associated with this, then yeah, there's going to be some people who've got to go. But you're going to, I mean, if you're like, well, if you had any association with Vince, then you're gone. Well, that's most everybody in the company.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're going to have to draw a line somewhere, or you're going to have to go case by case by case, which I'm kind of hoping, because we're not seeing heads rolling right now, that it is going to be case by case, that they're taking their time and going through here and figuring out like, okay, who are the moles? Who are Vince's yes men? Who are the ones who are like, listen, I'm going along with the process here because I've got a family to feed, and I didn't know necessarily all this. I hear rumors, but I mean, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have to figure that out, because at a certain point, like, everybody had something to do with Vince. Everybody.
Yeah.
You're gonna kick half the roster off because Vince signed them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, it's I get it.
Well, it's probably got more to do with if they had knowledge of the private matters.
Oh, totally.
There's definitely a differentiation between.
Yeah. Which, I mean, it comes down to like, if you're on one of those texts,
right,
that Vince was sending out the material to, but then again, at the same time, it's like, dude, I can't control who texts me.
Right.
Like, what am I going to block my boss's phone number? Like, yeah, it was totally wrong. I should have reported it, or whatever. I like, or saying like, I thought it was consensual, or I don't know. I don't know what the line is. I'm just saying, like, it's going to be a very messy situation, which is again why like this idea that like, oh, Roman versus Rock is going to make all this go away. It ain't.
No.
So it comes down to, I mean, I'm more in the camp of like, yeah, this is a power play by Rock.
Yep.
And quite honestly, if you're going to talk about someone who might not be, getting the boost that he is, Vince sold Rock the XFL for damn near nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe you want to talk a little bit about that, because Vince apparently sold it to him for like below like fire sale levels.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know, man. This whole thing is just terrible. Absolutely terrible, I think.
And some of the news coming out of the weekend too was, Rock's got some contractual milestones built in, to his board of directors contract where like one of them being returned to the ring. And then there was a couple other things. So like him doing this is kind of fast tracking his ability to get like, I think it was like 30 million in stock or something like that.
Who puts that in his contract? Like, I get like you want him to make it back to the ring, but I mean,
I don't know.
how valuable do you think this guy is actually in a ring?
Yeah.
Like that to me speaks of someone who like doesn't really know the business
Mm-hmm.
and is just thinking like, ooh, this will be great.
But what a credit though to Cody Rhodes in this day and age, in this business that is generally understood to be theater and from a storyline perspective, not in the ring, I mean, physical, real, these guys go through real pain and real injury in what they do. But in this day and age that he has built up such goodwill with the fan base and the storyline that he's trying to see through, that they are overwhelmingly behind him. And one thing I saw over the weekend at a house show when he was coming down, or I think it was after a match, there was a young fan there who I think he's legally blind, but if he comes close enough, he can see him and that sort of thing. And Cody went over and took pictures with him and gave him some time and stuff like that. And the person writing the article from CagesideSeats.com brought up the fact that who at this stage, who is the people's champion right now? It's not The Rock.
Well, here's the thing, and say this for Cody, man. That dude is a smart man. He's a businessman,
professional.
He's a professional,
yep.
But he understands.
Yep.
At the end of the day, yeah, maybe Rock is on the board of directors, but I think I'm still gonna, no matter what you want to do. Okay, yeah, this kind of sucks. I feel like I'm kind of getting hosed. I feel like I'm getting jerked around here. However, I'm also not, I'm also not doing the press scrum afterwards, how I work with effing children, and dealing with all that. And you know what? I think I'm going to come out on top after this. I think that when it's all said and done, I'm going to be just fine.
Yep.
I think there's that long game there, because there was what was the interview where he was talking, and I think it was him, where he was talking about what a wrestler's prime is, and it was like late 30s into the early 40s, in terms of your prime, not maybe your physical prime, but your box office prime, because you've been in the business long enough, and you kind of know the business, and you can work it, and you've really built your brand to a certain level, and that's kind of where it's that's the money, and that's right around the time that Cody's in right now. So I think he's looking at it that's all right. Okay.
Yeah.
I think I've built enough goodwill. I'm selling all the merch. People are really excited about me. Let's see how this plays out. I think I'll be okay.
Yeah. Well, and it'll be interesting. This Thursday is the press conference. So they're not going to be fans there. It's just going to be press. But at the same time, are they going to? I mean, some of the articles I've been reading have been saying they're monitoring the fan reaction to this. So if it's overwhelmingly negative, they have time. As weird as it may seem to pivot, they have time to pivot still.
Man,
it's going to be weird. But
don't know how you do it.
Now, the other thing coming out of this too is,
I wonder what it's going to be like on Raw. I mean, we're recording right now at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time on Monday.
I'm checking Cage Side Seats right now because they do a live feed of what's going on.
It's got on a 30-second refresh. This is great.
No, seriously. American
Nightmare. We're going to be talking about Carl Weathers.
American Nightmare shakes hands on his way to the ring, then asks Rollins and the crowd what they want to talk about. They pause as a Rocky Sucks chant goes around the arena. Yeah. How's that for your WrestleMania main event?
You know what? At a certain point, and you might just have to embrace it. You know what would be great? And again, I fully admit, I am an agent. I'm an agent of chaos in some
you
of this,
are.
when I don't have you know what? Bring back Rocky Maivia.
Oh.
Come down with the little tassels.
That's right. If I'm gonna rub you all the wrong way, I'm gonna rub you all the wrong way all the way.
Yes. That'd be in some ways, even the Philadelphia fans will be like, all right, that's pretty good. Okay, fine. You got us. I mean, think of it that other thing. Like, how is this going to go over if this continues to go downhill?
Mhm.
Of all the places to have a bad fan reaction, Philadelphia?
Oh, they're going to... Oh, I didn't even think about that. They're going to crucify him in Philadelphia. Oh, my gosh.
This is early April. There's going to be people who are going to be saving snowballs in their refrigerator. Well, and the security's going to be like, you know what? Just go through. Just go through.
And one other little factoid.
Tag him one for me.
Who's going to be in that main event alongside Roman in Philadelphia? Paul Heyman, the godfather of ECW. Tell me they're not going to be totally on his side.
Paul Heyman's going to come out in like one of those suits that they put on people who are training the canine dogs.
Yes.
It's going to be like helmet, face shield, the whole
Actually,
thing. Like, they're going to kill me out here.
Actually, ironically, when he ran ECW at the time, he would wear this like leather overcoat that did look like the outfit that the dog people would wear. So you're not that far off on that one.
He's I mean, because he can't run. What is he going to do? Run backstage? That's like a mile and a half up that ramp.
Paul doesn't run. He waddles, and not very quickly at that.
They're going to have to have a golf cart there for his escape. They're going to have Steve Austin's ATV.
Yeah, right. So 2 last thoughts, because I know we're running into 40 minutes here on the Week in Geek on this one. 2 last thoughts that I read over the weekend, which were kind of interesting to me. One, a fan had a very astute observation saying, this is a real simple problem to solve. Why don't you on night 1 have Cody versus Roman, have him finish the story, beat Roman, win the belt. Night 2, have Roman versus Rock in a Samoan family sort of blow off kind of thing. You could do that. Second thing I read.
Roman ain't working 2 nights. And that's that's actually not a slam on him. Apparently, from what folks have said, like just with the medical conditions he's dealt with, was it leukemia that he had?
Yeah, he had leukemia. Yeah.
Or and just the amount of care that he needs to take in his health to remain healthy.
Yeah.
That's part of the reason he works a part-time schedule, which I give Roman a ton of crap for.
You do.
I do. But
shame on you.
I don't give him crap for that. Like, if you can work the schedule that way and you get the deal, I think it's creatively. The problem is keeping a belt on someone who can only work that schedule. I have no problem if Roman wants to come back and work part-time and all this, like, that's great. But it becomes a major problem when it's your champion and you're trying to do storyline stuff and your champ isn't even physically present.
Yeah.
That makes it tough. So I have no problem with if Roman's part-time. The problem is, like, you can't do that. Like, he's not going to work 2 matches in 2 nights. Like, he doesn't do house shows and stuff like that. Like, that's a big deal. Like, you want someone at the
pace he works at, is it really going to be that much?
I mean, I didn't say it. I didn't say it that time.
I was waiting for you to say it. You weren't going there, but I decided to take you there. So,
but I'm trying to be, optimistic and looking on the brighter side. Like, do you really want someone who is dealing with all of this stuff and who does have to take extra care in his physical health in order to even be at the level he's at? I mean, is that even a possibility? I bet he would probably say, yeah, if push came to shove, and he probably could. But ultimately, like, honestly, I don't. Even then, like, who cares? Yeah. The only thing, the only thing interesting about Roman right now is the fact that he's the champ.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing interesting about those matches is his opponent. If he doesn't have the championship belt, even him against Rock, and this is one of the things that people had pointed out, like, apparently insiders who had talked to WrestleMania had said, this match would have been great 2 years ago, even last year, and even next year. Like, this year is kind of the one year when it doesn't work, and this is the year you're trying to force it down people's throats. Yep. It is not going to go well.
No,
I'm telling you right now. Like, I'm of the opinion that I've always I lived through the Belichick era here in New England, and the number of times that I started to, like, scream bloody murder because someone had gotten cut or this had happened or they traded somebody, blah blah blah, and you know what? It all worked out just fine with the number of championships they won. Same with WWE over the past couple of years. They've stepped on their, I don't know how many times, and yet it still seems to have turned out all right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a dude with a podcast who don't know nothing about nothing and never laced up a pair of boots. I'm just saying, this is what I see. I don't see how it's going to work out. especially going into Philly. Like that was the thing I just thought
that's
about.
Really,
like, oh my God.
I hadn't thought of that. Yeah. I didn't think about the fact that Philly is a pretty merciless wrestling crowd. The second thing I read, if they can get past WrestleMania, which I thought is kind of interesting to me, is if you
they
have
can
Cody
get past
win
WrestleMania without Philly burning to the ground.
Yeah. If you have Cody win the World Heavyweight Championship and he goes to SummerSlam and faces Roman Reigns in a unification bout, where he becomes both World Heavyweight and Undisputed Universal Heavyweight Champion, Cody can not only make the argument that he's finished the story, but in a way has taken everything, because now there is nothing that Roman can get his hands on as far as prestige, championship, that sort of thing. Like, he has to go through Cody to get there.
Yeah.
And I can kind of get into that story because it does give Cody kind of the I've defeated the final boss of the game sort of feel. You know, I've won everything there is to win. I am now the man. And now you take Cody off, and you know what you build to for next year's WrestleMania? Cody versus Punk.
Oh, I was going to say, are we bringing back someone else from the Attitude? Is Mick Foley going to
schlep
down the aisle?
You give Punk the main event he's always wanted by facing the man who has been more CM Punk than he has been. And I think that would be a phenomenal match with the two of them, honestly.
Here's the problem I got. And we are approaching 40, you know, we're way over our week and
I convinced
time
Uncle
limit.
Todd. He's not going for it.
I just don't like the idea of unified titles. Like, it's a nice gimmick every now and again, but I mean, it just seems like it becomes a stuck point in the story. Like, look about the unified tag belts. Like, that's been a thing for a couple years now, and they can't figure out a way to separate them.
I'm okay with it because, quite honestly, I still haven't, or I don't, not that I don't accept it, but the World Heavyweight Championship that Rollins has, I don't understand the lineage that it comes from. Maybe it's just a brand new world title and it's just starting with Seth Rollins. I don't know. Because
the look of the
Roman
belt,
had the other two belts. Roman has the original WWE Championship lineage. That's what Dusty, got taken from him. And then there's the other WCW World Heavyweight Championship, which became dubbed the WWE World Heavyweight Championship or the Universal Championship.
Yes.
So you've got the two lineages are really there. This other belt is just like something they just brought back. And I'm just like, it's never sat well with me. You know what I mean? Like, I don't mind if they unify and turn it back into the WWE World Heavyweight, Undisputed World Heavyweight Championship.
I guess the way you could go with it is what would be interesting, it would be if you did have that for the title unification and Cody wins.
Yeah.
And pulls a Shane Douglas.
That would be fantastic.
That, you know what? I don't want this piece of crap belt. This is the real world's heavyweight championship.
Yep.
And starts that becomes, it's not just the WWE. This is the real world's championship.
Can you
because
imagine?
it looks like it should be. It looks like it's the way I'm treating that is they're almost going back to that being somewhere like.
Are you talking about like the WCW one, like the big gold belt?
Because
Dude,
if you look at that,
the crowd would go
like.
insane if he pulled that out.
Not even, he doesn't have to pull out the big gold belt. He just has to be like, this is the real world's heavyweight championship, and if you want it, you come get it. I don't want anything to do with that. And walks away. Or something like that. Like that, okay, fine. But again, you got to make it between now and SummerSlam, and you got to go through Philly.
Yeah.
That's rough. That's rough.
Yeah.
But anyways,
well, after hemming and hawing and debating and banging our heads against this, the answer is get Cody back in the main event. I don't care at this point. Just get him back in the main event of WrestleMania. Let's do this. Do Cody right. Let's do the event right. Trust your talent. Give the man the title. Let's do the run next year. Punk Cody, WrestleMania 41. I'm calling it. And that, my friends, is the Week in Geek.
Either that, or can we get like can we get an ECW run in or somebody?
That's what we need. Shane Douglas in Philly.
Who's
Screwing
left
up
from
the
the
Rock.
ECW days who can still like shamble down to the ring?
Sabu. They got to bring Sabu back.
No, dude, no. Sabu. I don't think Sabu. Sabu, I think, is officially retired, and it's like, that's probably due.
I guess he's not really tied to the Samoan dynasty, but it would be kind of funny if he came down out of nowhere and
Actually, you know what would be best?
Rob Van Dam.
Sandman. With a full Metallica entrance, just takes like 5 minutes for him to get to the ring because he's like starts up in like the 700, whatever the section of the they don't even. It's not Veterans Stadium anymore, but there was like I think it was the 700 section, like it was the upper deck, and there was a dude up there who used to set his arm on fire during the game.
Oh my gosh!
And worked his way down from there. Like takes like 15 minutes for him to work. Like you have the extra long sand. Like actually, you know what? If you're gonna go for it, Metallica comes up from the stage and plays live, an extended 20-minute version of Sandman, so you can wander down through the stage to the crowd, and then just kendo sticks the hell out of both Roman and Rock,
and then Philly will be happy.
and then the glass breaks. Stone Cold comes down his ATV and shares a beer with Sandman.
Oh, okay, all right.
Everyone goes home happy.
I could see it.
Except then Paulie tries to get in the ring.
Oh, good God. I am trying to shepherd us to the next segment, sir.
Kendo stick to the head from Sandman. Stunner from Steve. Everyone goes home happy.
You see what happens, ladies and gentlemen? He just gets on a roll. We cannot stop him. He is a force to be reckoned with.
Did we stop when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor?
Thank you, Bluto.
Thank you. All right. Well, thank you, sir, for that extended Week in Geek. It is much appreciated.
God.
And on that note, actually, we're going to take a quick pause for our sponsors, and we'll be right back.
A few moments later.
All right.
So I was just watching the intro when Cody and Seth were going to start tonight on Raw. Dude, the crowd is freaking merciless. It is fantastic. It is fantastic. Oh my gosh. Like Seth Rollins, but the first thing he says is like, well, I wasn't expecting that. And quite honestly, like there's, and I don't know if it's just Cody's a great actor or like, I don't know if this is all part of the show or what, but he looks like he's getting pretty emotional listening to the crowd. Like he kind of, knows he's been hosed in a way, you know what I mean? And appreciates the crowd support. So very interesting.
What a ridiculous turn of events.
All right,
sir. Take us into the main subject. You're working double duty this episode.
Actually. I am. I'm getting tired, man. I'm carrying this on my shoulders, but that's all right.
Put on another pot of coffee. Suck it up.
I'll put on another one of these.
I knew you would. Ooh.
All right. So, unlike Uncle Todd, I don't come prepared with facts and all of the accurate info, but let's just hit it where it hurts, which is, last Thursday, I believe it was last Thursday.
Yes.
Carl Weathers passed away, I believe, at the age of 76.
Yes, indeed.
Wow. Geez, my memory actually is good.
Look at you remembering stuff.
Yes. And basically all the news organizations reported just that he died peacefully. It was, I think, for all of us a shock because he was very active. He currently was in, I'm not going to get this right, I think it was FanDuel, but he was part of the commercials with Rob Gronkowski for this like field goal kicking sort of, I forget the name of the contest, but it was like a field goal kicking thing that's going to happen at the Super Bowl, and he was part of the commercial to promote that with Gronkowski and then John Cena apparently. So very active. But yeah, just, passed away, and but just an iconic actor, and it resonates. It resonates for a number of reasons. If you are a longtime listener of this show, you know that there's several things that we have an affinity for on this show. We have an affinity for bourbon. We have an affinity for BSG. We have an affinity for the Rocky movies. an affinity for Star Wars, meaning Mandalorian. Mando!
They're all going to hate you, Mando.
They all hate you.
Yes, that's right. They all hate you.
Among other things. And Carl Weathers is present in most of those. We'll get into this one, but apparently he was also present in some of Uncle Todd's more judicious picks in our 1977
Never Gonna Live This Down
movies episode, which featured
Never Gonna Live This Down.
Featured
Actually, he was in Close Encounters of the Third Kind?
Wanda the Wicked War. Yeah. He is listed as a actor in Close Encounters of the Third. I think he was one of the soldiers, though. I think it was a bit part. I don't think it was like a real part.
Yeah, because that probably, considering the amount of special effects and everything, I bet that was probably filmed before Rocky.
Yeah,
or immediately after, before that came out. Interesting.
But yeah, so kind of to review some highlights from this prolific career that one Carl Weathers had, and it speaks to the just the breadth of reach that he's had in terms of the things that he has been in. He has been in. So this is going to be kind of this will be in chronological order, kind of going all the way back the year I was born, 1975. He was in Good Times. Dynamite.
Oh my
gosh. He was in Good Times.
Which, I mean, honestly, quality show.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, actually, it was one of those shows that, a lot like MASH, like very comedic, very funny, but also like did not shy away from dramatic moments whatsoever, and some really like not just like, oh my gosh, a very special episode. Like, no, this will smack you right in the face.
Yeah. So started out on in TV on Good Times. He was on Kung Fu. He was in The $6 Million Man, apparently. Then in 1976, he's in Rocky. Now, I just want to point out, these are highlights. This is not the complete beginning of his career. So
he was in 80 flicks or 80 shows at least. Yeah.
But in Rocky as Apollo Creed, the iconic character that he portrayed and then continued to portray in 3 more movies after that. He was in Starsky and Hutch. I did not realize that.
One of the great all-time, like back in the 70s when theme songs were theme songs.
Oh, yeah.
Like Starsky and Hutch was one of the great TV theme songs of all time. Oh,
can we get a little People's Court?
I don't even know if that's... I think I took that out of the soundboard, sir.
What?
Dude, I've only got 10 spots.
All right, well, what do you got for a theme song?
Yeah.
No, not him. Give me a little punk.
This... do I have punk? No, you don't do the Cult of Personality for Starsky and Hutch.
Well, I don't know what to do. You changed the board. Oh, but you'll do that. Yeah.
Because it's funky.
All right. Starsky and Hutch. He was also in Serpico. He was in Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Boo, 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 boo. See,
this one goes out to Uncle Todd. This was a pick, not to be mistaken with Wanda the Wicked Warden from the year 1977, but a movie whose poster has not aged well.
No.
And apparently was mostly about the threesome sort of thing. Semi-Tough.
Romantic entanglements, I believe, is the polite way to say that.
Okay. And then I believe his character name was Dreamer Tatum, which,
Quite honestly, how has that not been a wrestler name? I want that to be my professional. I want that to be my ring name. Ladies and gentlemen, Dreamer Tatum.
There we go.
What's the oh my gosh, what's her name? The ring announcer for WWE now. Is it Samantha?
Oh, yes. Samantha, but I don't know her last name.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, she's awesome.
Yeah. No, she does a great job.
She does the full body intro. Like it's like you can tell some of those intros come from her toes.
Yeah.
She's great. I would love to hear her announce me as Dreamer Tatum.
Dreamer Tatum.
Yeah.
All right. After the dubious role in Semi-Tough.
Ladies and gentlemen, there's some things you just never are going to get away from. Just get used to it.
Uncle Todd is branded with this one. We move on to Rocky II in 1979. And honestly, I think, actually, I don't know, because I did skip over some stuff, so I shouldn't say it went right into Rocky 3. But Rocky 3 in 1982, Rocky 4 in 1985, which is significant because that is the movie where we see the death of Apollo Creed, and that is the end of his character in that franchise.
Yeah.
We have in 87, Predator. Dylan, you son of a... and then the class heard around the world. I watched that clip last night, and I couldn't stop laughing when they did the clasp. It was just like, bam, and you just see them just like, what's the matter? It's like this midair like arm wrestling matches going on.
The sheer amount of steroids used on that set, like, oh my goodness.
Something else to call out about Carl Weathers, though.
Yeah,
very much the athlete. Very much
he was
the
a
athlete.
He was a college football player. Didn't
Yep.
he play? He played in the NFL for a little bit, like a cup of coffee, and then he played a couple of years in the CFL.
Yep.
Yeah. No. I mean,
he was legit. He was a legit athlete. From what I've read, kept himself, just in good health and good shape.
Well, that was one of the things that, like, how he got in the Rocky audition. I seem to remember one of the interviews, Stallone talked about how he came in and, he got the sides, he got his lines, and he was like, okay, he went into the other room and came out of the other room, shirt off, like muscles rippling, and had worked up a sweat and was reading the lines. And it's like, this is the guy.
Yeah. Yep.
This is the guy. And I guess another one of the things he was like, so I'm supposed to be the, Apollo Creed, the champion of the world. Who am I fighting? And Sylvester Stallone's like, me. He's like, this chump.
That's a great way to land your job. And he did.
The only person to, like, there's a line when Billy Crystal was doing the eulogy for Muhammad Ali, and he talks about how there was a bit that Billy Crystal did. I forget, it was like, it was where Billy Crystal did an incredible Muhammad Ali impersonation and did a Muhammad Ali Howard Cosell back and forth. It was part of his act.
Yeah.
And he did this thing for Muhammad Ali.
It's called 12 rounds, wasn't it?
12 rounds. Yeah. I couldn't remember how many rounds it was.
Yeah.
And afterwards, like, Muhammad Ali's like, it's like, little brother, you made my life better than it was.
Yeah.
Like, that's how I look at Apollo Creed. Like, the only person to out Ali.
Yes.
It was like, if you took Ali and turned him up to 11, that was Apollo Creed. And that's an accomplishment, to be larger than a guy who was larger than life in and of himself.
Can I ask you to do the line? Uncle Todd does an amazing impression.
Apollo Creed versus the Italian Stallion. It's like a damn monster movie.
There it is. Yes.
Oh. And it's true. Like, that whole scene, like, it is one of the scenes that kind of pulls the movie together. Like, and that scene was on the page. I can imagine looking at that and going, this is not great. And then you have someone with just the charisma.
Oh yeah.
Of Carl Weathers, who also is just inhabiting that character, and he carries that scene, like, just who that character is. And the promoter, quite honestly, as a bit player, that promoter does a very good job, like, and all that.
Yep.
But Carl Weathers carries that off. What could have been a scene that's just like DOA.
Well, and I think even and we'll get into this more. I kind of have a list of the iconic characters he played, and obviously Apollo being probably the most one he's most known for. But in Rocky 2, I mean, just the way, like, not just the charisma when he's loud and proud, but that whole scene when Rocky kind of pops into his room, in his hospital room, and he's like, did you really give me your best? And he's just kind of like this resigned, yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I mean, like I can't do it justice, but the way Weathers played that was brilliant, because it was both, beat up Apollo laying in his bed trying to get some damn sleep, but at the same time, as the heavyweight champion, just like, I could not put you down.
Yeah.
Like you could just hear like the not tiredness, but just the weariness in his voice.
Yeah.
I mean, it was he just such a great actor. And I'm kind of jumping ahead a little bit, but Sylvester Stallone, if you haven't seen it, I mean, Google it. It's very easy to find. just did a really very nice, kind of the day he passed away, a memorial, kind of speech about him and giving him a lot of credit and a lot of kudos, and really, admitting that if there wasn't Carl Weathers playing Apollo Creed, I don't know what Rocky would have been. I mean, and he's right. I mean, Apollo is such a foundational part of that movie. And then on top of it, they spun an entire franchise off of him. And now we have it with Michael B. Jordan being the son of Apollo Creed and carrying that legacy forward. And so, just a little personal aside for me, I shared this before when we talked about Rocky. I wasn't introduced to the franchise with Rocky 1. I was introduced to the franchise with Rocky 3. And then Rocky 4. And so, and then I eventually had gone back and watched 1 and 2. And so, so what was interesting for me is after seeing all of them and stuff, how, my first kind of, view into Rocky was really this loud, braggadocious, charismatic, former champion and former opponent of Rocky's becoming his friend, his trainer, his mentor, and them becoming like brothers. And I really, I look back at those movies and seeing the progression from 1 through 4. I love the fact that Stallone did that he showed that even though they were intense competitors, they, at the end of the day, had a brother. There was a brotherhood there of who they were as boxers and who they were as fighters, and both of them bringing themselves up from the streets and finding success in this world that very few find success in. And so, so I just really, that's always stuck with me about that character. And I've always liked Apollo Creed, especially in Rocky 3, that, Apollo and Paulie is hysterical, that whole interchange.
I don't sweat you.
I went to see Rocky 4 in the theater, and honestly, it's one of those times, as I wasn't a kid, I was, kind of a preteen at that point. His death really hit me, because he was I really liked him as a character, and it was very emotional for me to see him get taken out of the franchise that way. But I think that was the intended effect, was he was so beloved that it was classic heel building. You had to, Drago had to slay someone, and he slays the man that everyone really, I mean, everyone loves Rocky, but Apollo and Rocky are like peanut butter and jelly. And so you take one of them out of the equation, and Rocky rightfully is lost in that movie. Now, not the greatest movie of the Rocky series, of course, because it's really just one big training montage after that.
Well, no, there's 2 training montages.
Oh, thank you. But no, but I mean, credit to Weathers for the way he portrayed all of that. And what I've enjoyed with my sons, or I mean, at least my younger one, I've watched it with. I need to watch it with my older one. But we spent an entire, Christmas break watching, I think up to Rocky 5. He was fascinated by those movies. And we watched them 1 through 5 in chronological order. And he just really liked, the characters. He liked Apollo Creed. He liked the story behind it. And so it's fun to see how there isn't a shelf life with these movies. They go on, they persist. And the story, resonates, even though it was filmed, in a much, older, time period now. So,
yeah, no, in order to have, and Rocky is the ultimate underdog. It's the ultimate underdog story. That doesn't happen unless you have that mountain to climb. And that, whatever that mountain is, it has to be big. It has to be imposing. It has to be scary. And it has to be captivating.
Yeah.
And not to take another swing at Roman Reigns here, but I will. It's the same thing I keep talking about. Like, it has to be somewhat interesting.
Yeah.
And that's always the problem with a Roman Reigns, is that he's just not that interesting after the entrance. There's like they stopped developing kind of that depth, and they kept going with Apollo, because in the first movie he's kind of like a generic, like he's a Muhammad Ali turned up to 11. In 2, you start seeing like this other side where he's just like, I don't care if I have to lose money or in sponsorships and all this. I want to get him in the ring, whatever it takes.
Yeah. Yeah. He's hungry for the fight. Rocky 1 is for entertainment. Rocky 2 is I'm going in there and proving a point. I am taking him out, and I'm taking him out early, and then he can't do it.
Yeah.
And it then becomes real for him at that point that this is a guy I can't overcome.
Yeah.
But all right. Well, moving on. No. I mean, it was a good aside because I still want to go through all of Apollo Creed's names because that is the other funny part is the nicknames, which we'll get into. But after Predator is Action Jackson, which I never actually saw, but I remember seeing a lot of commercials. Did you see this one?
I did, but it's been so long, and I keep meaning to rewatch it because it's such a fracking great name for a movie and a character. Just like he's known as Action Jackson. Like
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Sure. Like that's like it's like next generation blaxploitation. Like it's just a more like evolved form of like Shaft and Superfly. And you know what? I own Shaft on DVD, so yes, and I'm talking like Richard Roundtree, like the OG. And you know what? It's still a good story. I don't care what anyone says. Yeah. So when I saw Action Jackson, I was like, right on. This is kind of cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then we get into other highlights. He was on the show In the Heat of the Night.
I forgot about that.
93 to 95. I never saw that, so I have
with
no
Archie Bunker, dude.
Yes, I remember Archie Bunker.
Carol O'Connor,
Yep. And then we get Happy Gilmore, which is another iconic character. Chubbs. Which apparently ends up making an appearance in Little Nicky in 2000, which I did not know.
One, yeah.
I was telling Uncle Todd in our pre-production meeting, The Shield, which is a favorite show of mine. If you've never seen it, stream it, binge it. It is phenomenal. It is such a great show. But Carl Weathers plays a character that is a foreshadowing of where the main character will ultimately end up at some point. He is a dirty cop, and eventually his shenanigans will catch up with him. And Carl Weathers was playing a character like that who his shenanigans had caught up with him. He was working as a private investigator because he couldn't be a cop anymore because of said shenanigans. And like I said, very, very interesting foreshadowing there. He was on ER in 2008, apparently. Hey, who wasn't on ER? I mean, the show only ran almost 20 years, so
true, yeah.
Now this one's
I'm pretty sure we were on ER at some point. We were in the background.
I think we were. I think we were like Key Grip or Best Boy. One of those two.
Well, I can't remember. I was drunk a lot of that time.
One of those two. Now this one may be lost on the fans a little bit because we never. This is a lost episode that was
in the vault.
We recorded. It has been in the vault. We never released this. But during the apex of the pandemic, when we were locked down, bound, gagged, didn't go anywhere, Uncle Todd and I had time to record a lot of episodes, and we decided to go into the dustbin of awful movies and decided to do a watch sort of show. Like I forget what we called it.
No, it was going to be a commentary. This was a whole series because this was after we recorded No Holds Barred.
Yeah, we did No Holds Barred.
Commentary track, and we were going to do this thing, and we were going to do it with awful movies.
Yes.
And this was the first one after No Holds Barred.
Okay, we have MVP Mario Van Peebles in this movie, along with They All Hate You, Carl Weathers, in a movie from 2012,
like 5 minutes of screen time
called American Warships. Which was just god awful, and we could not put our listenership through such painful pain.
No, let's be okay, folks. Let's be honest right now. The reason why is we thought we could make it through this. We both watched this movie ahead of time so we could take notes, and then we watched it to give commentary on it. Saying we were 3 sheets to the wind is being generous.
One does need bourbon to get through this movie.
we were self-anesthetizing because it was that bad. That was the only way we get through it. And I think we realized afterwards, like, we might be able to do these commentaries, but we're going to need a liver transplant inside of 5 years.
I think I went right to bed after that episode. After we recorded that episode, I was like,
I think I just went and laid in the gutter and just prayed that
release me, release me.
So the funny thing is, like, I saw that in the show notes today, and I was like, I wonder if this is as bad as I thought it was. I went and it's on YouTube.
Oh, is it?
It's on
Okay.
YouTube for free.
American Warships. Look at that.
Oh my gosh. Yes, it is just as terrible as we remember it. It might even be worse because there's no like anesthesia when I was watching it today, like on my lunch break.
Oh gosh.
Oh, it's terrible.
One thing I do
terrible.
remember is the battle scenes were like the same scenes done over and over again.
Oh,
Do you
yeah.
remember that? Like
it was like
ship scenes were like the same thing, just redone back. Oh my
and they were bad like cut scenes from a bad
Oh.
video game. Like it was terrible.
It was
Terrible. Yeah, that'll be forever locked in the vault.
But unfortunately, Carl apparently needed the 350. So
you know what? God bless him. If he made a payday off of that, because again, I think he was in it. They probably only did like a half a day of shooting with him.
Okay.
And I think at least, and then he had that. There was one scene where he was like jogging, so he's literally in like shorts and a sweatshirt.
Oh,
so he's like, all right, well,
Rocky 3.
I'm comfy.
There you
Whatever. Like I don't really have to do much for makeup and whatever. Sure, I'll show up and say these 18 lines as long as I'm paid in cash.
That's right. That's right. After his stellar outing in American Warships, he was in Arrested Development, apparently, for a period of time. Mortal Kombat 10, he was a part of. He was a part of Chicago Fire, PD, and Justice. So apparently did his time here in
trifecta
in the downtown area. He was a part of the Magnum PI reboot in 2018. Part of Law and Order SVU and Toy Story 4. And then the last credit to his filmography is something that I never thought I would see Apollo Creed in.
Mm-hmm.
And quite honestly, when I first saw him, I'm like, I don't know how this is going to work because I just didn't see him as a Star Wars sort of character.
Yep. And then it
but
works
by
so
God
well.
Almighty, did he bring the heavy lumber to the Grief Karga and just Mando!
They all hate you, Mando.
Do the crazy
wavy
hand
hands.
thing.
The wavy hands.
Wavy hands. I got nothing. I watched that scene last night and I was cracking up. He's like, do the wavy hands thing. And he just like waves at him. He's like, I got nothing. So it
was fantastic.
Wonderful thing that he got to be a part of the Star Wars universe and a part of that brand and that genre that so many of us love and did so and you know when you look at his character over the 3 seasons of that show, how he went from being, you know, kind of the bounty hunter, I don't know what you call him, bounty hunter dealer. You know, he seemed to have all the contracts to hand out, to being this magistrate of a city where he's doing good and he's, you know, trying to help people's lives and I just really like what they did with his character. I mean, it was just such you know, just he did such a great job and he brought this gravitas to the character and just he fit right in. Even though I looked at him like, how is Carl Weathers how is Apollo Creed going to work at Star Wars? And you know, Stallone said it best. He's just like, I saw greatness in him and I didn't realize how great he was going to be. And that is exactly who he was in Mandalorian. So a couple of director highlights. Back from the 90s, a show called Renegade. This was back when we had the, what do you call it when shows are kind of like Star Wars, or Star Trek Next Generation did this. They were aired on, what did they call it?
Network?
Not network.
Syndicate?
They weren't syndicated. Thank you. So Renegade was one of those syndicated shows, and apparently he directed an episode or 2 of that. The one that cracked me up was from the USA Network special, Silk Stockings. If anyone grew up in the 90s, they know Silk Stockings.
Hey, you know, had a TV in my room.
If you know, you know.
It's a late night. I mean,
I'm
not proud. That's all I'm going to say.
He directed other things, but just other highlights. Hawaii 5-0,
which was which starred what's her face? Grace Park?
Yes, from BSG. Yes. Yeah.
So we got a BSG connection, aside from, of course, Katie Sackhoff, who we'll mention later on when we get to Mandalorian.
Of course. Law and Order in 2022, Chicago Med, and then he directed a couple episodes of The Mandalorian. So,
which, if I remember right, like his episodes of the one or did he do 1 or 2? I think he only did 1. Anyways, I do remember like his episode, because I think his episode was the one where they had the transport and they go off the cliff and stuff.
Yes, yeah.
There was a little bit of everything in that episode, which I was
yeah.
like, all right, that's good.
Yeah. So those are some highlights from his directorship. Let's see, iconic characters. Oh, so for Apollo Creed.
Yes.
Let's walk through the nicknames here.
Oh, please.
Which they did a great job of doing in Rocky IV. And Rocky says to him, he's like, you got enough names? He's like, hold on. But the Master of Disaster.
Oh, yes.
The King of Sting.
That was really good. But this next one.
This is the one that killed me. The Count of Monte Fisto.
I
How
love
can you
that.
not like that name?
That is poetry, ladies and gentlemen.
It is. That's the exact moment Rocky looks at him. He's like, you got enough nicknames? He's like, hold on. Hold on, Rock. Apparently, I don't know when these were announced. Maybe this was in the earlier movies, but the Thane of Pain.
Yes.
Was that from an earlier movie or was that from 4? And I just
well, so in Rocky 1, there was a quite lengthy introduction.
Okay. There was another one, the Dancing Destroyer.
Yes.
And then the Prince of Punch.
That one's good. That one's good. It's not. It's no Count of Monte Fisto.
No, the Count of Monte Fisto. Watch Rocky IV. Watch the Drago match. Watch the intro. You'll get it. It is phenomenal. That's I love the announcer. He's like, the Count of Monte Fisto.
Well, the best part is like when he goes to like walk away from the corner, he almost forgets his mouth. He's like, "Yo, you forgetting something?" He's like, "Oh yeah." Because you can't talk as well with a mouthpiece in.
No. We talked about the character of Dylan in Predator,
yes.
And the clasp heard around the world. Dylan, you son of a... Never mind.
Which actually, and so, of course, back on February 3rd, marks the breakup of the superpowers, Macho Man Randy Savage and Hulk Hogan.
Oh, okay.
Which was the handshake of the...
Oh, yeah, they used to do that super over-the-top handshake, didn't they?
Yeah, which
Macho Man would get a few, like, as he was going in, you'd be like...
Yeah, which is disturbing.
It is disturbing. Yeah.
But Arnold and Carl outdid that.
Oh yeah,
just with the standing there like muscles, like you're surprised that someone's bicep just didn't burst through the skin. Like,
yes,
that might be an outtake.
I do love the thing you shared with me today on Instagram, where Jesse Ventura confidently and with much conviction talks about how his arms were taped off bigger than Schwarzenegger. And then you have Schwarzenegger saying, yeah, I kind of paid someone to tell him that because later on we're going to do another, we did another measurement for a bottle of champagne and my arms are 3 inches bigger than his. And my comment back to Uncle Todd was, I wonder if Jesse Ventura, like if there was an after shot of him talking with as much conviction as he was talking beforehand. He probably was nowhere to be found after that. I got nothing to say.
No interviews.
No interviews. Oh goodness. So we talked about Action Jackson, Chubbs.
Such a great...
I mean, this is like 5 different characters that are like iconically associated with him. Like how many people do that, in a normal career? Not many.
Let's go home. Send him to his home.
Yes, that's right. That's right. And then we got Grief Karga. Mendo. They all hate you. All right.
No, and the thing is, like, he didn't even say it that way. Like, he said it with a smile. They all hate you, Mando. Like, he has a little glee in there. Yeah, like, he's like, they all want to kill us right now.
They all want to kill you.
Isn't that great? No, actually, it isn't.
Oh, my gosh. We kind of already talked about, next item I have here is his impact on the Rocky franchise and the Apollo Creed character. I think we've already kind of adjudicated that.
Yeah. I mean,
again, I thought it was great of Stallone to say what he said. I think it really, was heartfelt and you could tell he was pretty broken up about his passing. He was standing in front of that iconic painting from the end of Rocky III when they were both in the ring and ding. That's right. That's right.
And I absolutely...
You fight great, but I'm a great fighter.
I absolutely love what was it?
With the mouthpiece in his mouth. I love that.
No, in the first Creed, when he asked, when Adonis asked who won, and we finally find out, and I love how that there's that nod of like, of course he won.
Yeah, he was a great one.
You know, like I love that acknowledgement, that final little tip of the hat to Apollo. You know, I always thought that was a very, because it would have been a nice thing to be like, oh well, nobody won or whatever. You could have, or you just didn't have to put that in.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that at some point, even though Sly didn't write that script, I'm sure if oh my gosh, who was the director? Crap, it's not Michael B. Jordan. Oh my gosh, I'm totally blanking. Anyways, fantastic director. Also directed Black Panther,
Coogler?
Yes, Ryan Coogler.
Yeah.
Thank you. Ryan Coogler. Was it Coogler?
Thank
you. Yeah. I'm sure that if Sly really had that much of a problem with it, they would have been like, well, okay, fine. But I mean, that was such a nice touch, I thought, from just with everyone involved to give that final nod to Apollo, you know, and that's the weight that character carries, even how many years after his death in the movie franchise, you know what I mean? That's what really is amazing is, yes, it has a ton to do with what's on the page, but it's also what the actor brings to the performance. And I was watching a clip of Quentin Tarantino the other day, and Harvey Keitel, something he said to him on the set of Reservoir Dogs, or not the set. It was when they were auditioning. Was it auditioning? Might have been on the set. Basically, what Harvey Keitel said: don't give a lot of help during the audition process. Let the actors had the lines, they've had the scene. Let them show you what they have.
Yeah.
Because if you tell them, if you give them all this help, you'll never see what they have thought of and are bringing to it. And that could be really surprising to you.
Yeah.
And it's just that idea of, yeah, the director has a part. Yeah, the writer certainly has a part. The actor has that license to bring and breathe life into that.
Yeah.
And I mean, Apollo Creed might have been fully formed there on the page, but I mean, damn, if you don't actually breathe life into it, DOA, man. And the fact that character carries that much weight, that's a huge tribute to that guy's acting chops.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Any more to say on the impact on Mandalorian?
I think the fact that there is a certain thing that happens with actors who have been around for a while, that when they show up on screen, if they're good enough, it isn't like oh my gosh, it's this guy. And that stays the whole time. Like you're there. Like it's that first thing of like, oh my gosh, it's them. But they bring a certain gravitas to a role. And it's sort of like what Alec Guinness brought to Star Wars in playing Ben Kenobi. It's what Anthony Hopkins brought when he was in Westworld. Like this proper actor just gracing the screen of this thing. Like, okay, well, this has got to be kind of cool and important, you know? And I mean, granted, I wouldn't put Carl Weathers on the same level as, you know, an Anthony Hopkins or whatever, but the fact that he's there and that he then is like giving you 110%, like that was... Carl was, even in the freaking American Warships movie, like Carl Weathers was fifth gear, man. Like he was giving you all the Carl Weathers you were going to get.
You son of a... Never mind.
And, you know, he brought a certain level of like gravitas and legitimacy to that.
Yeah.
And I think he did a great job. And like you said, the character evolution was great. And he managed to really convey that throughout.
Yeah.
And did such a great job with that, and you know, apparently made a pretty good connection with a lot of his co-stars. And Katie Sackhoff had mentioned in her, you know, Instagram posts about how, you know, she had become friends with him and what an impact he had on her. And, you know, I mean, yeah, all the acting stuff is great, but then it's things like that are kind of your real legacy in life. So it's good to hear those things as well, that, you know, legitimately a good dude along with a really good actor.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. 100%. Any other special mentions? Did you want to, pontificate at all about Semi-Tough?
I've never seen the flick. I feel like I need to actually see it now because I've been teased so much about it, and I've
kind of like watching Silk Stockings.
I probably will have to watch it late at night with all the shades drawn, because I don't know that I'm not secure in myself.
Shame.
Yes.
Shame is upon you, sir.
I might just have you FaceTime me while I'm watching it, so you can keep saying that as I'm watching it.
I don't want to be part of the debauchery that you're watching. Come on now.
Well, you don't have to watch the. You don't have to watch the screen. You can just sit there, just shame.
Just keep shaming you. Good Lord. Oh my gosh! I should just point you to the shame clip from Game of Thrones. You can just play that over and over again. Oh my goodness!
It'd be much better if you do it, though.
Yeah, that would be funny. Anything else on Sir Carl Weathers?
No, I mean it's just it's. I mean, 76. I mean that's a and apparently a life well lived.
Yeah,
judging by the tributes that he has had and all that.
And I will say,
still feels too soon though.
On Twitter before it became X, and then I noticed a few times, like not as much when it became X, but every now and then, he always had very encouraging.
Yes.
Things that he posted always ended them with, be peace, I think was his kind of, his call.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Call sign sort of thing as he was exiting from posting, and just one of the good ones. And never met him, but never met him in person, but appreciated his contribution to the craft, and as art tends to do, and movie is art, had an impact on my life as a up and coming young man, and just enjoyed watching him in those movies, and like I said, just seeing how he embodied that sense of brotherhood with the Rocky Balboa character, and he's just always going to be a part of my life in terms of the things that I watched. And so it was just sad to hear that he passed. It's sad when you hear folks like that who you enjoy their work, and you enjoy reading about how they're good people, and so anyways, to Carl Weathers, and I guess apropos, because my glass is almost out, I will raise a glass and thank him for his contributions to society and to the art of movie making.
Salute.
Salute.
All right, sir. Well, what have you got for In Another Thing this week?
Oh, I got a good one for In Another Thing.
Oh.
Uncle Todd is in for it. Over Christmas, we like to do kind of like a family gift, and normally it's a game and something that we tend to play and kind of figure out over break together. But this one,
and knowing how bougie Tim is, I mean, basically what they do is they go to a ranch in North Dakota and they hunt human beings.
Elk.
Oh, I'm sorry. Elk. It's very easy to get confused.
I know. It's they're very similar. No, my
I got that confused with the Jean-Claude Van Damme movie. I'm sorry.
My wife is a voracious reader. There are local bookstores around that we like to support, and she found this at one of the bookstores. It's called Poorly Explained Movies, a game. And so let me see. So what I thought I would do to kind of showcase this game. So really this game is all it is.
Embarrassed enough.
No, it's not. No points. This isn't about intelligence. It's more to showcase the fun of this game. As opposed
it's
to
not about intelligence, because we know you ain't got none. Let's just say it out loud, all right?
I'm just saying, unlike the Star Wars game, where clearly I was the better man.
My gosh. Let's not even talk about the Star Wars trivia. I swear to you. I can't even tell you how many dollars I've spent in therapy.
The vein in Uncle Todd's head is going to start bulging out in a moment.
Can't even tell you how much money I've spent in therapy and bourbon getting over the Star Wars trivia segment.
Oh my gosh!
So
what I thought I'd do to help showcase and explain this game.
Oh jeez!
Because basically what this is, it is a set of cards, and you just play up to a certain point. First one to get like 6 or 7 right wins the game or something like that. But it's basically these descriptions of movies that once you kind of hear the movie title, you're like, oh my gosh, I should have known that sort of thing. Yeah. a very creative way of kind of, playing a game where you're explaining movies that way. So I will start off with one that I thought I'd do a couple of these just to kind of, demonstrate the fun of the game.
All right, hit me.
All right. So, and you get a hint. You do get a hint.
Good.
Although I don't have, this one. So this is on the cover. So I don't have the hint on this one, but I'll just read this. A goose suddenly dies and it makes everyone really depressed. What movie would that be?
Top Gun.
Well done, sir. We actually struggled with that one for a while. Nicely done. Let's see. A young woman gets a phone call and loses a lot of friends.
Scream.
Well, oh my gosh, maybe this is like tailor-made for Uncle Todd.
This appeals to like all of the way that my neural pathways have been miswired all these years. Finally, it's paying off. Of course, I make no money off of this.
I think you'll get this one. A man who loves mixtapes hangs out with a houseplant.
Mixtapes and a houseplant. Well, it's not Little Shop of Horrors.
No, there is a hint. There is a hint. Would you like the hint?
Give me the hint on that one.
In space.
In space. The Martian?
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh yeah. Okay.
But do you see how do you see how it it's so funny. I can't find the one for unfortunately I can't find the one for Back to the Future. That one's hysterical because it's something like, travels back in time and then something it works something in about him kissing his mom or something like that. It was just really just funny the way they worded it. I don't have it here, but you get the point. Yeah. It's a fun game.
I might have to get that. That is fun.
I say it's for like teenage to adult family because there are some descriptions that are a little bit beyond the kids. It's not dirty. It's not anything that would offend, but it is just, but it is funny. And one thing that we had a blast with was our younger son had taken a class his senior year in high school. It was a film class. And so he watched some classic movies. And so when we got to some of the descriptions of, like, I don't remember the precise description for Casablanca, but whatever it was, he got it like right away and it just blew us all away. We're like, how did you know that? But it just to your point, some of them just like click with you.
Yeah.
You get
well, the
it.
thing is, if you know that it's like poorly explained,
yes,
then you start thinking a little outside the box. Like when the goose like dies, I'm like, okay, the goose. Okay, yeah.
But see, I was thinking about like I wasn't thinking about I wasn't in the frame of mind of like goose as the call name. I was thinking about a literal goose, and I'm just like, what the heck have I seen that would do that? One last one.
Oh,
a young man has a tense reunion with his birth family. Would you like the hint?
Yes.
In space.
Star Wars.
You got it. Well done, sir. Well done. Oh, here it is.
Oh my gosh.
A scientist almost causes incest. That's the Back to the Future one.
That's horrible, but yet
isn't that hysterical?
It fits. I mean, there it is.
All right. One last.
Wait. We're hurtling towards like hour 5 now.
A Marine learns to appreciate nature while on a mission.
Isn't that Predator?
It is not.
Oh no, it would be probably Avatar.
You got it. Well done. Well done, sir.
I was thinking you were trying to tie it into the show.
Very nice.
Because the mud, the mud being nature.
Yes, that is true. That is true. All right. Well, anyways, that is my end. Another thing. Do check it out. It is poorly explained game. Oh my God. Poorly explained movies. A game.
Poorly explained other things by Tim.
Humana. You son of a. Never mind. But if you come across it, it's not an expensive game. Get it, check it out. It is a lot of fun. I was on the phone with my parents and we read them a few of them. They got a huge kick out of it. It is just really fun to play with family. So do check it out.
Right on.
What is your and another thing? So
my and another thing is comes by way of Kaylin, my daughter, because she is to say that she's a fan of Rick Riordan is an understatement. And of course, Percy Jackson and all of those books.
Nice.
She is a huge fan. And much like a lot of Percy Jackson fans, and I would argue rightly so, derides the movie version of the books as akin to heresy, shall we say. So when there was announced that Percy Jackson would be coming to Disney Plus in a series with Rick Riordan being prominently involved, and it was going to be done correctly, was very excited. So we have watched through this first season, which I guess covers the first book in the series. I've never read the books. I'm just going on everything I've been told, and even I watching the movies, like, this kind of is terrible. However, the most recent the season finale aired this past week, and Kaylin watched it before we did, so I still have not seen the season finale.
Oh wow.
I might do that after this if I don't go back and rewatch the Rocky Sucks chance. I don't know. It's up for debate. Anyways, it's really well done. And I was in a weird sort of way, two kind of notes on this. I was from two completely opposite directions. There's a podcast called Script Notes with John August and Craig Mazin. Craig Mazin being the guy who was behind the Chernobyl miniseries. And also Charlie's Angels Full Throttle, just to balance the scales there. And they talk about a lot of screenwriting things, so it's always kind of a thing that I like to buzz through at like 1.5 speed while I'm on exercise bike or something. But they mentioned the Percy Jackson series and how well the young actors involved and the performances that they gave, because both of them agreed, having worked with young actors before, it's really hard to get a good nuanced performance from young actors because, I mean, let's face it, like that nuance comes from experience.
Yeah.
Whether it's wrestling, actors, musicians, whatever, a lot of that comes from just trial and error over and over. And when you're a young actor, it's kind of tough to get that experience.
Yeah.
But really, both of them very complimentary of the performances by the actors. And I would agree. I think they did a great job in the series, and I think the effects were really good. I think the storytelling was really good. According to Kaylin, it was very true to the books, which, of course, if Rick Riordan is heavily involved in it, that would make sense. And features Adam Copeland, cast as Ares, the god of war. And he did a really good job.
You think you know me?
Exactly. I would have. What was it? When we were talking about that, there was actually one line that that one of the characters said, and we watched the episode with Edge in it. I'm sorry, Adam Cope.
Gotta go with the cope.
And I actually rewound it afterwards, and everyone, and my daughter and my wife were both like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I just want to check something," and it was like, the line was very close to "You think you know me," but it wasn't quite. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, that would have been such like a wrestling nerd Easter egg."
Yes,
but at the same time, I'm like, I'm sure that people writing this show are like, "We really don't care about that sort of thing."
Mm-hmm.
And Edge is probably just sort of like, yeah, me neither. Please don't do that. Look, I really kind of want this to be a thing I do after I finish beating myself up for fun and profit.
That's funny.
But no, it's really good, and it's on Disney Plus. So go ahead and stream it. And it's a really fun, well done show. Like it's just a fun show, and and apparently, according to my daughter, very true to the books. So if
nice.
Have children who have enjoyed those books, or if you've enjoyed those books, apparently you won't be pulling your hair out and swearing at your TV. So that's always a good thing.
Nice.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. We've come to the end of another show, and we appreciate you hanging out here with us for this interminable length of time. I'm sure, it's been fun. I'm sure you've enjoyed every single second of it. It's been magic. Magic. Yeah, sure. But thank you all to the members of the Free Range Idiocy congregation. If you are unfamiliar with what the Free Range Idiocy congregation is, well, we like to think of ourselves as the nicer cult. Essentially, basically, all you have to do is subscribe to the podcast, and you're a member of the Free Range Idiocy congregation. There's no collection plate. In fact, we go in the hole every year doing this show, which is very on brand for idiots and very frustrating and to the shame of our families.
Shame.
Okay, that actually wasn't so bad. I could deal with that.
Yeah.
It's the lashing that I have trouble with. But anyways, enough about my personal life. But if you'd like to become a member of the Free Range Idiocy congregation, what you can just put a straw in that. My gosh. You know what would be great is just one episode where you had like a crazy straw. Or better yet, have one of those set up like a gerbil bottle.
Oh, could do that.
Like the little thing, and then just off screen be like,
let's test how good this cork is. No, never mind. I don't want to do that.
Oh boy, let's not do that. If you'd like to become a member of the Free Range Idiocy congregation, all you got to do is subscribe to the podcast, which is very easy. You go to freerangeidiocy.com and you can subscribe right there through the Podbean app. You can download individual episodes. You can download them all. Like I said, you can subscribe. If you say to yourself, I've got enough apps in my life, I don't need no more unless they're mozzarella sticks. What you do then is you go and you go to the podcast purveyor of your choice, search for Free Range Idiocy, and we will be there. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on Spotify. We are on Pandora. We're on whatever the hell Amazon calls its poorly branded podcast service. We're on Google Podcasts. We're on Samsung Podcasts, which is a thing I didn't know about. We're also on a bunch of others, so go ahead and search for us and find us there. If you can't find us anywhere else, then guess what? You can find us on YouTube. We are now in live living color on YouTube.
These pretty faces.
No. I thought maybe we should pixelate, but you know what? It wouldn't get any better.
Or we should wear the luchador masks the entirety of the show.
That'd be great. And just sweating like madmen under those.
Basically.
There's a reason why you don't see a whole lot of luchadors with beards. You know, a lot of chafing.
Yes.
So you can find us on the social medias. We are on Instagram. We are on Facebook. Like I said, we're on YouTube. All of those are at Free Range Idiocy. So be sure to like and subscribe and all of those fun things. You can also send us suggestions, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, we are foolish enough to ask the internet to send us things. If you have any ideas, thoughts, comments, ideas for shows, send them to Tim at freerangeidiocy.com and he will get back to you ASAP. PDQ forthwith, if not sooner. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for me to stop flapping my gums, and to which there is a hallelujah from the congregation, but not before I ask the second most important question in all of human history. The first, of course, being, what is hip? Tower power, represent. Second, of course, being, how the hell did we learn this show?
We have learned the following, my friend.
Good a list.
We have learned that the man they call Tim, a little bougie on the weekends.
A little.
No argument from Uncle Todd on that one. We do want to acknowledge and wish Uncle Todd a very happy birthday, even though it is a day after the fact. But,
Just up! That's it!
Indeed, Stevie, there it is. We've also learned that Cody Rhodes has been done wrong, and at this point, any sort of vitriol you can channel toward The Rock is 100% in the right and necessary in order to right this ship. Let's get WrestleMania. That's right. He is. We need to get WrestleMania 40 back to Cody versus Roman. Let's finish the story the proper way. And if any indication of money...
Oh, hang on a second.
There it is.
Here we have Sheiky joining us. You coming in just at the end of the show. Anything? Just so you know,
any words?
My suggestion to our listeners was to watch the Percy Jackson series. It was. See, that's.
Dad does listen to me.
Oh, thank you.
Very
Appreciate that. You going to bed now? Okay, because we're almost done with the show, so I'll be done making noise. She falls asleep to our show. It's her white noise.
There's a ringing endorsement right there.
Free range idiocy, putting teenagers to sleep.
If you need something to get you to bed, listen to us.
I mean, I can't argue.
Good night. Love you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, there is the Kalen portion of the show. Hope you enjoyed it.
I was rambling on about Cody Rhodes or something like that, but nonetheless.
Oh, yes.
We have also learned The Rock. He's healing up a little bit here, Rock. Come on now. He is. And as we've talked about for the majority of the show, we remember, we honor, we appreciate the contributions of one Carl Weathers, and he will be missed. It was a sad loss, but we appreciate what we were able to get from him in terms of his acting, his what he brought to Rocky, what he brought to Star Wars, and so many other TV shows and movies, and what a prolific career of this individual. So just want to raise a glass again to Carl Weathers. We salute, we honor, and we thank Apollo Creed for being a part of that damn monster. With all that being said, Uncle Todd has summed it up well. Thank you for the listenership, and we like to close things out. Be safe, be healthy, be kind, be good to one another. Don't put the watch up. This is all normal boilerplate, baby. Come on now. As we like to close things out, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. The range is closing up. Thank you. Good night. Farewell. And Dylan, you son of a...
It's like I picked the wrong week to quit drinking.
I beg your pardon, what did you say?
Damn!
You're such a disappointing pair. I prayed so hard for you. Get out. And don't come back until you've redeemed yourselves.
So say we all.
So say we all.
Again, you give me crap for this, but I'm gonna start giving you the
that
what
is a
after
tight
a while.
Ending. I don't know what you want. What am I supposed to say? Goodbye.
Yes.
Got it? After I finish everything we've learned, I just say goodbye. That's all? No, come on. We need a little flair. We need a little more than that. Do you know who I am?
You need to do the Bubba Ray Dudley thing back when he was in ECW. Do the stuttering. Thank you and have a good evening.
Thank you. Good night.
Now get the hell out of here!
Let me talk to you.